Hello, everyone. Welcome to 1.5 Degrees, the podcast where together we explore the science, solutions, and stories involved in the fight against climate change. I'm your host, Heidi Pan, speaking with the professionals behind the latest research, policies, culture, and innovations shaping our response to global environmental challenges. For today's episode, we are joined by the incredible environmental educator, entertainer, and rapper Hila Perry, also known online as Hila The Earth, to discuss raising environmental awareness with joy, music, and comedy, what eco-rapping entails, climate clowning, and more. Hila performs parodies and original raps about ecological topics ranging from soil health to environmental justice, and has previously worked with numerous organizations including the National Geographic, Smithsonian, and Greenpeace, and was recently recognized as a climate creator to watch for 2023. Thank you so much for starting this climate conversation with me today, Hila. It's truly such an honor.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, I mean, to start, I guess, could you tell me what it is that you do as an eco rapper and, as you say, edutainer?
Yes, edutainer. We mix education with entertainment. And basically, what I'm doing is I'm learning all of the things that I didn't learn growing up about soil, about how food is grown, about water cycles, air, mushrooms, the layers of crust of the earth, just all the things that I think are really important for us to thrive on earth as humans. I'm learning that and translating what I've learned into songs that are easily accessible and you can dance and learn at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's something I really like about this. Like when I stumbled upon your work, like it just came up in my feed. I was like, this is such a fun way to introduce people to these subjects that are like, sometimes they're not as incorporated within, I guess, like educational systems as they should be. And so that's really awesome. And I mean, I definitely also want to go into how this kind of began, your big bang, so to speak, as the Earth. And so how did you, I guess, like make the costume and the full character and become Hila the Earth? And did you ever expect to be doing what you're doing now?
I definitely did not expect to be doing it. Growing up, I was very detached from concepts of nature
Mhm.
and plants and trees. And I grew up in New York City in the neighborhood of Soho, which is a very industrialized neighborhood. It's now like a fashion district, but we don't have a lot of trees. We don't like have a lot of green spaces really in the mile radius of where I grew up. And like I love rapping. That I've been doing for a long time since I was a kid, really. And that's probably, influenced by growing up in New York and, the birthplace of hip hop being the
Mhm.
Bronx. And so I really like got into it slowly. It's like it was a very organic, slow progression. It started with me graduating film school and kind of going off on a little self-exploration
Mhm.
journey where I traveled and went to the West Coast. I went to Burning Man. I learned about leave no trace. I learned about plastic. I started
Mhm.
composting, all very slowly. And then in 2016, I met one of my collaborators, Nathan Dufour, so we began to work together, and he kind of like opened me up to like rapping more professionally, and he had produced my album, and then we like really were into sort of like zero waste
Mhm.
lifestyle, and we made a song about plastic, and then we made a song about bringing your own cup, and then we made a song about human manure and composting your poop, and so like all these songs kind of built until we made like a sex ed like nature album.
Mhm.
And throughout all of these things that we were doing, we were performing, and we put on a show called Eco Trippin', and that's when the Earth character was born. We were like, oh,
Mhm.
the Earth needs to rap. So we were both just like, who should be the Earth? And I was like, I should be
Yes.
the Earth. And so that's kind of how it was born. When last year in April, Nate and I kind of like went in our look started to focus on solo projects.
Mhm.
And so my focus just ended up being like, okay, well, I think I'm just gonna be the Earth. And I wrote the song Wet Ass Planet, which is
Mhm.
just like a remix of Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion's Wet Ass and it like was really fun to kind of go through their flows and their cadence and find places where the words still are the same, and
Yeah.
like just rewrite the song basically to be a water anthem. And when that was my first viral moment, was I released a clip of me performing that song in Times Square, and it just like I put on TikTok and it got like 1 million views, and I was like, oh my god, 1 million views, which is so fun. And then I had a few other viral moments like that. So it's a slow progression, but definitely the last year, like since April 2022, um, things have been really like, it's been Earth power. It's been like, okay, Earth is the main character, and yeah, it's been really great.
As it should be. I mean, it's definitely, I mean, yeah, no, and also it seems to me like it just kind of snowballed, and you had started as like, being interested in rap, and then so I guess like, I mean, also you're a total lyrical genius, by the way. Like you've had, hits including Wet Ass Planet and Mycelium, and my personal favorite, Arbonaught, and actually my mom might have some questions when she watches this, but Dirty Talk.
Yes.
So yes, and no, I mean, I guess like my question is how did you come to make these songs? Like what does your creative process look like from writing to recording and producing, and how do you choose what topics to write about and perform?
Well, the choosing of the topics is an incredible process because there's literally endless amounts of topics to choose from. I mean, the earth science sphere is like everything that we know is a topic, because we got to know, we want to know how everything is made and where does it come from. It all comes from the earth and it all goes back to the earth. So I actually have like a very long list of songs to write. But a lot of the times I get pushed, things get pushed to the front because of
Mhm.
commissions. I get asked to work on certain things with brands, and I'm trying to like survive in the capitalist world, so I make money
Yeah.
by like collaborating with brands and sort of doing a song based on what they are kind of like interested in. But the way that I work with brands is that I really try to enforce a kind of like, you're sponsoring a song that's educational, and it's not
Mhm.
about like your product or your brand. It's about something broader
Mhm.
that affects more people and is more general. And then you get to put your like, logo at the end that says like you sponsored this. And so that's
Yeah.
kind of how I work with brands, which makes the work a lot better because I really want to educate people about the
Mhm.
general things. Um, so I've been working with a lot of brands for that. And then yeah, I guess like my creative process is pretty simple. Like I really need to learn the things that I'm rapping about first. And so when I'm like reading and researching, I'll pull out like really interesting concepts or words, and I'll be like, what rhymes with this? What rhymes with that? And then like build out a song basically. I'll find a beat or I'll work with a producer. For the Mycelium song, I was booked to do a mushroom music and arts festival called
Oh.
MycoFest. And I was like, I need a new mushroom song for this festival. And I'm actually doing that again this year, which is really exciting.
Oh,
But
that's so
yeah,
fun.
like I just, there's infinite amount. I have my veggie wrap, so I need a song for every single vegetable, and I love vegetables, so that's gonna be easy. But it's like, yeah, finding the time to really
Mhm.
sit down and kind of like focus on one little thing. It just, yeah, the time is the only thing.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, I'm personally trying to be, I don't know, like more, I guess, creative with advocacy and whatnot. And I mean, you're definitely an inspiration for me. So yeah, I mean, I guess like also in terms of drawing inspiration from the sciences and just general earth things, is there any like particular person or other project that, inspires you as well?
Well, there are a lot of like really awesome content creators. Alexis Nicole,
Mhm.
who's Black Forager, she's amazing, and I'm super inspired by her because it's like, oh, she's teaching us about all these plants that we can eat, and they're just
Mhm.
growing everywhere, and it's just very exciting to me. And then there's also this other TikTok account called Homegrown Hand Gathered, and they're like this duo, this like couple, and they
Oh.
like make all of their food and stuff from plants that they've grown or foraged, and they show how they do that, and it's like really awesome. I'm just very inspired by that because I love food and I love knowing where my food comes from, and it's just like one of those things that really like pushes me forward. That and compost. Like I think like food, like where food comes from and then where food goes is something that's like so important to me, and composting is just like one of my biggest passions. Um so I'm really inspired by just like people who are doing things, and like I'm out here like trash cleanups, like people who organize those things, people who are making art out of trash, anybody who's upcycling thrifted
Mhm.
clothing, making it better for people. Like these are the projects that really inspire me because I feel like that's the future that we need to cultivate, is like getting rid of the trash cycle, getting, more in tune with the earth, and people can be more outside and enjoy things like swimming in clean rivers and
Yeah.
going to the ocean and swimming in the ocean. I've been doing polar plunges this year,
Oh, so cool.
which are really, really fun, but also, oh my God, like that was my other viral video, is me plunging into the Atlantic Ocean in January and like totally freaking out.
That's so cool. Oh my God.
I thought I was gonna be very fine, but I was not. I was not fine.
No, I
I was
mean,
just screaming.
no, gosh, I could. I mean, first off, I give kudos to you because like I love water, but like I'm also so terrified of going in it because it's like it's just bottomless. So I mean, also your point about like just drawing inspiration from, I mean, just being able to incorporate like I guess natural stuff into your lifestyle and also doing that and bringing awareness through art is so fun. And I mean, I definitely feel the same way about that for sure. And I mean, yeah, no, in terms of like using art to, I guess, just bring this into everyone's lives, daily lives. I mean, I think your work definitely starts conversations when it shows up on everyone's like social media feeds, and you really meld culture with an issue that needs more awareness and action now more than ever. So, I mean, also, I guess, why is rap your medium of choice? I guess I would love to go into that more.
Well, you can fit the most amount of words into the smallest amount of time. So that's the easy answer. The other answer is that I love rhythm, and if I don't play really any instruments that well, but the ones that I really enjoy playing the most are like drums.
Mhm.
Um, and so for me, rapping is like dancing, but with like words and my voice. And I'm not, the most like confident singer. And so like it's just very natural for me to like want to use my words and put them on a beat. I love rhyming. I love discovering rhymes that I never knew like really existed and how they kind of fit together. Language is so beautiful, and I really think it's really powerful to like really choose your words super carefully, especially in a song that people are going to hear over and over and over again.
Mhm.
So, when I look at other songs that we listen to all the time, and I think about, okay, what words are actually like being programmed into my brain right now? And it's like a lot of songs about longing and, being obsessed over somebody, and
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
or like whatever. Like, there's so many things that I'm kind of just like, well, this would be cool if I could also learn names of trees at this time,
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, that's my role. So like I'll do that, and I may hopefully inspire other musicians and artists to like, and insert more um just like knowledge and information into their lyrics, because like it's just exciting. It's like even if it's something that's happening in the background, it's like you're still hearing the words, and um yeah, I just like words.
No, I really appreciate that actually. I mean, it's like, I mean, words can be powerful in itself, but to combine that with rhythm and something that's, like it can be really fun, and that's just, I think, really powerful, and the fact that you can kind of sneak it into people's lives that way as well. Um Yeah, and I personally like to do like stand up, so it's kind of like a similar thing with just, you know, having the words be a part of it, but also to make it so fun and, accessible
Yeah,
and enjoyable as well. Because I mean, you can spend time learning, but also why not make it fun? And yeah, no,
absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah, and I love stand up, and stand up is actually how I got started with performing in general.
Oh,
I was
really?
just kind
That's
of
so
like,
cool.
yeah, it was like that moment after I graduated college. I was like, okay, well, now I'm gonna do stand up comedy and like insert my funny rap songs into my stand up sets, and then yeah, and then like the rapping just became the focus. But I still do a lot of jokes like in between songs. So actually,
Yeah,
my set is
yeah.
kind of a hybrid thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah, no, that's I mean, I definitely think comedy is like, I mean, you say it yourself, it's like within your songs, and that can totally, bridge gaps so easily, and we need more of that for sure. And I mean, like, yeah, no, I personally really appreciate the so-called climate clouding, because I mean, climate change and other environmental challenges, they can be so heavy and daunting topics at times, and I personally feel that we need to lighten it up, so that action can be approachable, and so I guess in relation to this, do you ever get, I guess, like eco anxiety, and how do you cope with it? And also to those who think climate awareness should be more serious, what do you say?
Well, I think it's always both. Like anytime you're faced with like it's like a thing where it's like, is it like this or is it like this? It's like
Yeah.
always both. And there's some really horrific things happening, and we need to find the strength as a community to like stand up to that. And at the same time, we also need to take care of ourselves. We need to have joy. We need to live our lives. And so there is a balance between being totally oblivious and like kind of not caring and, living like party to party without any regard. And then also like, screaming and crying and protesting every day and like,
Hmm.
chaining yourself to trees and just like getting arrested and like all the really hard things that I think we also should be doing. But it's like we have to find a balance because one of the things that is so important is that we really build a community and that we are strong and united as like eco warriors or climate activists
Hmm.
or people who care about the earth, who want to be on the front lines of change and culture building. So I feel like we really need that. Like, I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but like there is a big climate community. And once we kind of like band together and get more organized, like we should be showing up in all these different places. We should be providing housing for our community. We should be, reforesting. Like, there's going to be different levels of like resources that everybody can bring to the table. But like, we should really be making big moves, and yeah, we should be doing it with a sense of like joy that we can do that, and that we are able, and that things haven't gotten so bad that we are not able to come together. And so I see a lot of people coming together for like a Post Malone concert in Times Square, but I don't see a lot of people coming together to like protest 1,000 trees getting cut down in the East River, and like East River Park. And that is a very upsetting reality because I like don't really know how we're going to make that shift. um and who the people are that are going to the Post Malone concert, but like I need them to come to like the community garden. You know what I mean? Like I
Right,
need
right.
I need and so for me, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm a pop planet and I can like sell out these shows, then at the same time I can gather people together to do something that's also really positive for the environment or for their communities. So a lot of my sort of visions and desires are like, setting up shows in farms or setting up
Mhm.
shows at the farmers market, and like, and then gathering mass people there to like do something like, or go to somewhere that desperately needs like a cleanup, and like get a bunch of people to do that, and like just to have our parties be more like protests and just
Oh
like more
yeah.
active, and like because I think that we can have fun and change the narrative at the same time. I really believe that, even though it's so painful, all the destruction and all of the injustice that has occurred. It's like I don't know another way to battle injustice than just like show up and be your best self, and beat that by being just too powerful to take down.
That's a really good point. And I really, that just kind of reaffirms how much I love this sort of approach because I mean, yeah, no, like you said, we really need a balance in terms of like, we need the alarm bells, we need the protests, obviously, and that can inspire action, but that doesn't work for everyone in terms of getting them to, one, be involved, and second, have them, once they are involved, sustain that involvement. Because like if it gets too heavy, people want to turn away from it. So that's a really good point in terms of, again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but just adding that joy to it. Because I mean, we're trying to save or preserve our lives, and what are we preserving if it's not joyful? So that's a really good point. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, yeah, I guess like I really like, overall your entire projects. But do you have yourself like a favorite or least favorite aspect of what you do now, or like a favorite project that you've worked on, be it a song or other in your career so far?
Well, yeah, every song is really different, and working with different people is like part of like the dance of figuring out how to communicate a lot of these ideas. One of the most difficult things that I come across is that, when I post things on social media and people comment and they like have their own opinions, it's like I'm trying to speak obviously whatever is the most truthful, but of course, like I'm getting information like everybody else. I do my best to vet and research everything that I do and like make sure that what I say is like sound, and but obviously like I'm not sure. I live in New York City. I don't really know how things are made. I really want to, but it's a lot of these things are gate kept from us, and there's a lot of opposing opinions. There's talking about solar and wind energy, for example, and then the horrors of cobalt mining and lithium mining. And it's like we can't really have one without the other. I mean, maybe we can make the mining less horrific, but we have to mine these metals in order to have these machines. And that's a really like hard conversation, I think, because people are gonna go to either extreme. They're gonna be like, well, we can't go back. We have to be this technologically advanced because then society will totally crumble. Or people are just like, absolutely not. We can't be,
Mhm.
having these like slave conditions in Africa where people are mining cobalt and children are suffering. And it's just like,
Right.
I'm like, I kind of agree with
Yeah.
both. And so it's going to be up to us to really figure out how we move forward, because right now we're so dependent on these objects and how they, fuel our lives in the internet. And so that's one thing. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there's so many contradictions, there's so many opposing viewpoints, and it's like everybody cares about the earth. And so that's like, on the one hand, like we're here arguing like how we're going to do this, but then like we also need to like battle like some of the like big players that are just like
Yeah.
deforesting, mining for oil. And then even that, it's like, there's like a nuclear energy issue. There's like plastics. There's, communities and housing and how we get housing to people, how we're dealing with capitalism at this stage. What does land ownership really look like? What does renting look like? Like all of those things, like the most basic necessities of our lives, food, housing, education, healthcare, are being put under a microscope, and nobody is agreeing on what those things look like. There's the old way, which is not working, and then there's an unknown new way, which we still have to figure out how we're gonna. And I think a lot of people are saying like, look towards indigenous wisdom because they survived on this earth for thousands and thousands of years. So there's, community resources there. There's land resources there to like know how to learn, like know how to work with the land, know how to work with your community. And so I really believe that, and not like in all of the like indigenous wisdom studying that I've done, I've really like related to a lot of the philosophies and just like land practices that come up. Like a lot of like I study permaculture, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the permaculture techniques and principles come from indigenous teachings.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just one of these things where it's like, yeah, let's involve the people who have this knowledge, who have another way of life. Let's figure out how to like embrace each other in a new world with a new economy. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's, I guess the hardest part is like really communicating what I think needs to happen, and then like getting so much backlash, because obviously there is no one solution. There's a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
solutions and there's a bunch of compromises. And I think we got to like, I don't know, it's just a matter of really finding consensus, and moving through all these different options.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I mean, like, yeah, with the climate conversation, it tends to be kind of like a tug of war of like two extremes, and just there's that it's very difficult to want to, have that dialogue in the middle, and especially on social media where it's kind of like a one-sided thing. Everyone just kind of yells into the void and nothing's really constructive, so that's definitely something I think about as well. And in terms of like, incorporating indigenous knowledges, like that stuff isn't talked about as much as it should be, and it's really unfortunately overlooked, and we need to bring that into the mainstream conversation. And also, I mean, I guess the climate movement in general, it needs to be more decentralized, and that type of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it comes
And with
through.
like, with bringing like indigenous wisdom into the conversation, we also need to like uplift indigenous
Oh yeah.
people. And like
Mhm.
there's so many communities and like reservations that are really struggling and like don't have clean water, and their food is like ridiculous and overpriced, and they don't have access to their like ways of life where they farm and fish and do the things that they know how to do, and that they should be teaching us. But we like, our government does not uh, allow for that, and it's really devastating actually. And so like that's part of it. It's like land back,
Mhm.
uplifting these people, making sure that this like knowledge and wisdom can actually come forth through them, and not just like we take it from them and like,
Yeah.
whatever, because that's like a lot of how things have been actually. And that's
Yeah.
one of the criticisms of permaculture, is that it's just that it's like, but
Yeah.
I think still like the actual knowledge of, how to build fertile soil, how to capture water, how to build ecosystems that sustain you and the earth are really, really valuable.
Mhm. For sure, for sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely a matter of, not speaking on behalf of, but, just giving the people that are actually, affected, the platform themselves. So it's really
Yeah.
important. Yeah. I mean, I guess like shifting into your, I guess, like actual experience of being an eco rapper. What does that, like, I guess, look like on a day-to-day basis, and what are some unexpected experiences that you've had?
um, Day to day, I am just like really working on building routines to keep myself sort of like focused and healthy, and just kind of like moving through. But yeah, I have like, I need to do a lot of songwriting, a lot of reading and research. I do try to spend as much time as I can outside, really like, getting the inspiration from
Oh yeah.
the air and the trees. Depending on where I
Yeah.
am, like, some places are a little more natural than others. um, I always like to like look at like, okay, what's the concrete to tree ratio of where I am, and like if there's more concrete than trees, then it's like
Yeah, I get you. Um,
but we love trees, and I guess, there's been a lot of incredible places that I've gotten to perform, right? So that's like what I was saying before, is like I don't perform at normal venues, right? I don't do like the same bars or the same concert halls that other artists will do. I show up to land-based festivals where everybody's getting their lunch in their own container, or like um, I'll show up to farmers markets and rap about my vegetable wrap, like rap my vegetable wraps, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're handing me vegetables," and I just like, yay! And I guess one of the things that I haven't done, but I would like to do is more protest style. Like, well, I have shown up to protests as well. So
Mhm.
like, I'll be the earth, you know, and I'll be at a protest, and I can like freestyle like what I'm seeing, things, signs, people are holding, or like, chants that people are doing. I can turn them into songs. Um, I've performed at COP15, which is really a wild experience, and uh, like these big, international biodiversity conferences or
Mhm.
climate, change conferences. Like they're so layered with contradiction, and it's a very interesting place to be an artist and to perform and have a message and have like, something that I'm trying to say. It's like, um, yeah, I think it's just. Uh, it's gotten me to a lot of places, and I'm also really excited to see where it's going to take me. But ultimately, my goal is to connect people with these places in their local communities that they might
Mhm.
have not known of before. So one of my purposes in like booking a show at a community garden is that once I drop that address, anybody who's around
Yeah.
there is suddenly going to be like, oh, there's a community garden right here, and like I didn't even know that. And that's like something that's really special to me, because whenever I go visit a new city, that's like my Google search is like, city compost site, city community garden, city permaculture group, city whatever. So I like literally learn about the things that I care about in that city that you're not going to necessarily find on a tour guide. But
Yeah.
I'm the tour guide.
No, that's so fun. I mean, it's like in urban areas, like I'm in Philly right now temporarily, and it's just like these green places are so tucked away and they really need to be highlighted. And I think that's so cool that you highlight them as, as your venues, and that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Philly. How long are you going to be in Philly for?
Today's actually my last day in Philly. I'm like, you were speaking about like the tree to concrete ratio, and I was
Yeah.
inspecting because I'm by this like big window. I'm like inspecting, and it's there's a good amount of trees here. I'm happy.
Yay. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be in Philly in August, so I'm
Oh,
excited to
nice.
check out Philly a little bit. Last time I was in Philly was a while ago. It was before I
Mm.
was doing the Earth thing, so I really didn't think to like, look out for these places and these
Hmm.
community gardens and compost things. And so now I'm like, okay, I want to go to Philly and find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. That's what I do. I love that. It's like it's given me a new sense of purpose for when I travel, because I don't want to do like the normal things that people do. I want to go do the things that I think should be normal, which is,
Oh,
check
yeah.
out where food is growing and check out like just parks and
Right. Right.
hiking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess like I want to also now I'm gonna I guess like transition into advice section of the episode. So I mean, in terms of like those that are interested in either going into like freelance or commissioning work, climate activism, and just creative advocacy in general, what is some advice that you might give to someone?
Well, my advice is always to do something that is really inspiring to you, and to find whatever your like passion is in life, whatever it is, and just do it for the earth. If you are an artist or a creator, like make sure that your materials are safe for soil and for animals, and that they can be processed back into the cycle of life. So that's really hard because we're so used to like acrylics and plastic, and
Mhm.
those things don't get recycled back into the cycle of life. So we really need to be honoring and careful about what materials we use. And if you're somebody who is really organized and good at like doing like research and writing, and like, then do some research and write about the earth, write about all of the incredible projects that people are doing to like, make their communities better and heal the soils. And because that ultimately, is the kind of like reporting that we're lacking. It's like good news about people in their communities cleaning up the rivers, cleaning up their parks, planting trees, community kitchens. Like, I don't hear a lot about those things, and I really hope that they're happening. But I also want there to be more buzz around it. You know, like we talk so much about the problems and what's bad, but we like really need to focus now on the solutions and connecting people with people who are doing those things, and like in every city, in every community, in every locality. So like my advice to anybody is like find your people where you are, do those searches, look up those gardens, look up those, you know, cleanup groups, look up those things, like get to know your neighbors, get involved. I would say also like start growing something if you can. Like, I mean, that's not for everybody, but if that's something that
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
passionate with, it's like grow something, keep a house plant, like foster life, enjoy life, like really connect with the trees in your area, connect with the people, the animals, the trees, your green spaces. Like, that is always my advice to people is like go outside and just enjoy being outside and do, you know, find outdoor activities that you like and do them because yeah, it's a great way to connect with being on earth. And then yeah, and then everything else should pretty much fall into place once you find your passion. Like it's really easy to direct yourself towards things that align with an earth consciousness.
Yeah, no, that's a good point in terms of like, I mean, thank you for that advice. It's like good to merge your passions and your skills and capabilities here and now with, you know, something that you're passionate about in terms of like social issues. So that's really good advice. And I mean, in terms of like I guess personal advice as well, like if you could turn back time, butterfly effects aside, you know, what is some advice that you might give to your younger self who was, you know, starting out as maybe Hila the Earth or even maybe before
Wow. Well, I would tell myself for sure you don't need all those crappy clothes.
that?
You don't need all those polyester fucking clothes.
Mm.
They're not gonna be that great in 10 years. You're gonna throw them out. And the more you accumulate them, the more your life is gonna be hard. And
Mhm.
you're gonna have piles of clothes that you need to deal with constantly. And it's not going to fill that like void of like I'm not good enough. Like
Uh,
clothes can really
mm,
make you feel good and they really can like showcase your personality, and it's like one of the most important things I think for a lot of people to like be able to feel comfortable in the clothes that they wear and feel confident and like, you know, present themselves. And so like for my younger self, I would say like make your own freaking clothes, like, you know, get into thrifting, like find your voice in your style. Because I didn't really have that, like nobody told me that growing up,
mm,
and I could have used that because I was definitely when I was younger like really spending a lot of time at like the Urban Outfitters like sale rack, like just like finding all, you know, all the different clothes that I thought would make me feel good about myself. And I mean they did at the time, but was I like really showcasing my personality? Was I really like being innovative and unique in the way that I know that I want to be? No, like I wasn't. You know, I feel like I saw a bunch of other people wearing the same dress at some point, and I was just like, oh no, you know, that's not. You know, some people don't care about how unique they are, but I think for me,
mm.
like that's one of the things that I've always like cared about is just like
Yeah,
being
yeah.
unique, being an individual, like unique
Mm.
person. Um, so that would be like my advice to myself, and then also, I guess, I don't know. I mean, that's a very simple thing. I think I always tell people to start composting if they're not, because
Mhm.
like composting feels really good. And it's just one of these ways to like connect with understanding what's organic matter and what is not organic. And kind of like when you realize like everything is supposed to be composted, including our bodies when we die,
Mhm.
um, you recognize these objects in the world that like either need to be taken care of like more because they can't be composted, and or they just don't need to exist because they are made to be trash. And then
Mhm.
what? And
Mhm.
then what? They're made for the landfill, and it's just a great practice to like you know, just to like start seeing like, oh, what is this object, what is, can I compost this, can I not compost this? I think when we put everything in the one trash bag we don't really realize that
Mm.
like some things are supposed to go back to the earth. um
Yeah.
and Yeah, as always, I think like any advice that I would give to my younger self is just like, don't worry so much. Like, take every day with like, use every day as another chance to be better and build. And if you feel like you failed, like that's okay. Failure is part of success. You got to fail in order to keep going and succeed and learn. So don't be so hard on yourself, and like don't feel so guilty for every mistake that you made, because like you're supposed to make mistakes. You're supposed to fail. Um, and that's part of growing. So, keep growing. And yeah, I give myself the same advice now.
No, no, I like to keep that in mind as well. And I mean, obviously, I'm like navigating my teenage years or whatever. So all of the things that you just kind of spoke on is like, it really resonated with me. Like I don't know, I'm definitely, navigating my personal identity, but I mean, in terms of like finding joy through clothing and stuff like that, like you can do that through thrifting and I've recently done like clothing swaps, which are really fun. And
Yes, I love
yeah,
clothing
yeah.
swaps.
Yeah, and I also like to dig through my mom's like old clothing. Like she keeps all of her clothing, and so like there's that joy in connecting with your family in that way as well. So I would love to echo all of that. That's really awesome. Yeah,
Oh,
thank you
cool,
for that.
yay. Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I guess to close off, I do want to ask, you're like continuing to work on, really incredible projects such as the Earth Show. So I do want to ask, I guess, what is in store for Hila the Earth?
Wow. Well, finishing up my tour for the summer. I have another gig this weekend in Pennsylvania, Earth Festival. It's my festival. Yeah, I'm like gonna be there, and then I'm going to Myco Fest, which is the mushroom festival, also in Pennsylvania. And after that, I have another festival I'm doing in the like late end of August, upstate New York. Um, and then I'm kind of like gonna take my car and start like basically doing what I was saying, like finding these places where I can do pop-up
Mhm.
shows, and start touring kind of around the country. I want to go to New Mexico and Colorado. I want to go back to Utah. I have a show in Altadena, like a permaculture festival, Convergence. And so it's kind of open-ended, but there's that like physical aspect of I'm going to start moving around and kind of
Mhm.
documenting my journey. And then also just like continuing to write and kind of get through my list and like make more
Mhm.
videos, make more songs, learn more things, and just kind of keep growing everything that I've built as the foundation for this project. Hopefully, get like a show, down the line, like a TV show. And also really want to connect with more schools, more kids, middle school, high school, you know, like I really appreciated your questions about like what I would say to my inner child, because growing up in Manhattan and like not having really anybody come to me and just be like, "Did you notice that there's a tree outside?" And
Yeah,
like how
yeah.
cool it is. Like I feel that I could be that, for people who are growing up now and like just like wondering like, okay, well, what am I gonna do? What's exciting? What's trendy?
Mhm.
Like that's the thing. It's like I want to create like these, everything that all the biggest pop stars do. I'm gonna do it for the earth, and that's
Love
like
that.
that's the idea.
No, we definitely need that so much. And I mean, you're definitely, I guess, like a part of that for me for sure. So I mean, yeah, no, I love that so much. And I guess like for those that want to, keep up with what you're doing, where can they find you in terms of like social media or whatnot?
Yeah, so I'm everywhere at Hila the Earth. Hila is spelled with one L. It's also pronounced Hila. Um, and I am on Twitter. Well, I'm not really on Twitter actually.
Oh gosh, what's happening with Twitter?
I don't know. I'm on Threads. Um,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm gonna be building out my YouTube a lot more in the next, coming months. I have a mailing list, and I love to connect with people. So you can shoot me an email at hellotheearth at gmail, and like I think that yeah, I'm really easily findable. Search Earth Girl.
Love that. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here. I do want to respect your time, so I mean, yeah, no, just thank you so much for being here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for all your thoughtful questions. This has been a great interview. I really had a great time.